Hello everyone, I'm Ultraviolent4. Welcome to the second game of the month. We are playing a Gargoyle Earth Elementalist. If you haven't had a go at this yet and you want to before you see me play it, stop now. You find a link in the description to the seed and yeah, give it a go. So if you have no idea what's going on, it's a fairly new feature in GrEEl that you can have seeded games. Basically, most of the dungeon will be the same. So the items, the enemies, the placement of portals and branches, etc. should, I say should because it's still a little bit buggy, it's still pretty new, but it should be the same between players. So the idea of this series is for everyone to learn together. You can play your game, you can see how I play my game, you can see how other quote unquote pro players play their games. The catches on anyway. So yes, a Gargoyle Earth Elementalist. Oh, also, it's just been announced that in May, or starting in the beginning of May, there'll be a 5-week GrEEl Sudden Death Challenges tournament. If you didn't see any of the last tournament, it was a lot of fun. So I think we might pause the third game of the month for a month so everyone can play in the GrEEl Sudden Death Challenges tournament. You should. It's great. Anyway, this game, we're a Gargoyle, we're an Earth Elementalist. This is sort of a classic beginner casting combo. This gets played all the time. There's one particularly famous, extremely bad guide that you shouldn't use, but anyway. Why? Why is this a classic combo? Well, first of all, one of the main things that gargoyles do is give you a boatload of AC for free. So as we see here, our stone body is resilient. We're getting +2 AC. As we level up, that bonus AC will increase. And then another thing is that as we wear armors, we'll get additional AC out of it than you normally would. So even if you stay in a robe, you're gonna have a lot of AC as a gargoyle. It's pretty nutty. And if you go up to something even like a troll of the armor, you have way more AC than is seen. Your resistances are also pretty covered, so it means you can think less about your defenses. So we're immune to poison. We have RLEC, and those other things are not too important. The thing to note about gargoyle defenses is that you have -20% HP. So things that ignore your AC, in particular smites from early orc priests, can really threaten you. But aside from that, it's pretty good. And then if we have a look at our aptitudes here, you see on the right over here that we have a fantastic earth magic aptitude with +2. So that's also why a Gargoyle Earth Elementalist is sort of a natural fit. Alright, so let's do our skilling. Alright, that's better. So our earth magic is basically our offense. You could think of it like the equivalent of a weapon. So we're going to be focusing that one. I also want to be training spellcasting, probably for a long time. Not only will that give us more magic points, but it will give us more spell levels so we can quickly learn all our spells that we have in our book. And then I usually like to throw on at least one defensive skill at all times. I don't like having a glass cannon blaster caster. Some people do, I don't. I tend to like my mages to be in relatively heavy armor, to have shields, have a bunch of fighting, etc. But no buts, we're gonna do it. The issue here is that I don't like any of these defensive skills very much. So we're bad at dodging with -2. We're pretty good with armor, but at the moment we're still in a robe. So training armor here in the early game is not going to do much. And I think it's going to have to be the fighting training. So the +1 aptitude is nice, but as I said a minute or two ago, we have -20% HP. So the fighting we're gaining is You know, it's really important, the HP we're getting from fighting, but I don't know, it's all minus 20%, so that kind of sucks. A quick look at our book. We started off with Sandblast. In our book that we started with, we have Passport at level 2. Our second defensive spell isn't till level 3 with Stone Arrow. And then later on we get Petrify, which is basically a hex. And then finally LRD, which is our big AoE spell. So a major issue with Earth Elementalists. So until we get to at least level 3, we're reliant on Sandblast. Sandblast, every time you fire it, uses a stone. So if you get unlucky in the early game and you don't ever find any stones, it can be a very harrowing experience. Hopefully that won't affect us here, but it can. If that happens, I don't know. Not much you can do about it. Things you can try to do about it, actually use a weapon. If you're fighting something trivial like a rat, just hit it with your, 0 skill dagger or what have you. And then, something else. Last thing before we go, I promise. So some of you playing this might be playing your first ever spellcasting species. A really good quality of life thing you want to know is how to use macros. So everyone knows how to play a melee character. You press O to explore and then you press tab, and it's optional to press 5 to rest. But you're just doing O and tab. It's a very easy, laid back lifestyle. But with mages, how are we going to cast spells? We've got to do Z, A, and then we got to press enter. I'm going to Z, A, enter, Z, A, enter. It's too much. But what we can do is we can make a macro. So if we hit tilde, it's shift and the key that's under escape on the top left hand corner of your keyboard. Press tilde to enter the macro menu. We then hit M for macro. It's asking for an input key. So good keys for that: 1, 2, 3, 4, F1, F2, F3, F4. Some other ones that don't get used much. I think the plus and minus buttons don't usually get used in normal gameplay. But I like to have it on my left hand side. So I'm going to use that key, but not with shift. That key is actually your repeat previous action key. So you probably shouldn't get into the habit of using this. But pretend we did one. So it's going to say, what do you want to be for your inputs? So I'm going to do ZA, which is to cast a spell. And then to enter it, we could use a dot, which would act like enter in a macro. But the downside of using dot in a macro is that it also is the key for wait a turn. So if you accidentally use a dot in a macro where your spell doesn't require a target, you're now going to be waiting. I'm instead going to use F. That's safer because say you use that in a macro that doesn't require a confirmation, it will just open the fire menu like this, the throwing menu, so you can exit from that and it's no danger. But so now when we press our macro key, we're just going to shoot the spell every time. So it's basically the equivalent of tab. It makes your mage gameplay a lot easier, a lot smoother. Okay, so let's play the game. We did our skilling. Alright, we've got our macros set up. You can hit the tilde key again and press S to save your macros. Otherwise, what usually happens is when you quit, the game will ask. Although if you're not paying attention, you might accidentally say no. So I like to save immediately. Alright, so this entrance fort that we've got looks like it's a square that you can run around. So I'm going to explore all the way around it. Having any dungeon features in the early game that you can run around, here's another one. They're called pillars. They're really, really useful, especially for mages. If you run out of magic points and you're being chased by an enemy, you can run around and around the pillar while you slowly get your magic points back, etc. You can also use that to heal, but so we're healing both. That's first enemy null. We want nothing whatsoever to do with him. And I'm going to exclude him so I don't accidentally go there. But yeah, that's extremely dangerous. If we have a look at the null, you can hit for up to 9 damage. And we only have 10 HP max. Fortunately, he doesn't have a weapon, so this could be worse. especially if you ever meet the Halberd Gnaw on D1, you're probably going to cry. So I could bring him over here and we could do the pillar thing, but he can two-shot us, so he's way too dangerous. Maybe we can come back later. Alright, here's a plate mail. It's way too heavy for me to even pick up. Okay, we got a second scroll of something. There's a good chance that that's just identify, but actually we have nothing to identify, so it doesn't matter. If we had a potion, I might have just read that immediately. Who died to the null, by the way? Own up in the comments. I can't say anything yet because I might still die to him, but let me know who died. Alright, so we got our first actual enemy. You see we've gone down to 29 stones. Once upon a time it was kind of funky. You actually had to wield the stones to do extra damage. I'm glad you don't have to do that anymore. Yeah, and the spell just, if you have no stones, you just can't cast the spell. Alright, a shiny ring mail. I'm not going to try that without remove curse, but there's a very good chance that I want to use that. Especially with our decent armor aptitude and how much additional AC as a gargoyle we get out of having nice armor. That could be really good. But then it could also just be cursed and minus, which is why we're not going to try it on yet. And we're still level 1, so it's going to, if it's stuck on, it's probably going to mess with our spell failures. This is kind of dangerous for me to walk up on him. So the issue with Sandblast, or one of them, is that it's quite short range. So you can see where it's flashing. It only goes up to this tile, 3 tiles away. So I can't just hit him from edge of line of sight. But if I walk up, I might reveal additional monsters behind him. So I'm actually just going to throw a stone just to get his attention. And then we're going to back up. And we're going to stay here. We've got a nice little pillar we can run around in case this goes horribly. That's alright, we got him in 1. I could pick up the +0 club, but I actually just don't want to. I'd probably rather just use unarmed if I'm going to hit something than a plain club. They're really bad. Making sure I'm not going anywhere near the null. Okay, cockroaches are fast, but they're also relatively trivial. Here's a hunting sling. Hunting slings are usually really good on your mages. Yeah, it lets you do a bunch of damage while keeping your magic points, and also gives you a full screen attack. My issue with the sling is that unless we find sling bullets, it's using the same ammo that we need for Stone Blast anyway. We're going to be firing away our stones. I still think it's probably worth picking up. Normally I would say to you, don't ever wield a weapon that you've picked up from the floor if you don't have remove curse. But in the case of our D1 mage, we don't need our weapon anyway. So say we got stuck with it, it's not like it changed anything. So I don't mind wielding it. It was not cursed this time, which is good. So now we can shoot a stone to attract an enemy from full screen. Like we threw it before, it's basically the same thing, but we'll do more damage. Alright, well here's a dagger. I'm going to pick that up too. And another quality of life thing. So I'm doing =I to change the letters that items are on. I'm going to change my dagger from I to B. You notice I also put the hunting sling on A. Let me just wake this rat up. So now what you can do is press apostrophe and it will switch between the weapon you have on A and B. So I can easily switch to my dagger here and just fight the rat. And that way we save our stones. So we're down to 24 stones already. We haven't reached level 2 yet, right? No, we're still experience level 1. Oh, that's a jackal pack. Jackal's really scary for early mages. Okay, we just reached level 2. Let's immediately learn Pass Wall. I love this spell. The way that it works is that you can go through walls. So it takes you 1 turn to cast a spell, and then the amount of wall that you go through plus 1 to go through. So to go through this would take 3 turns. By showing you I'm hungering myself, I'm kind of don't want to do that in the early game. But just take my word for it. It would take us 3 turns to go through the wall here. This could be a really valuable escape tool. And so I was talking about how scary jackals are. They come in packs. They're fast, so you can't run away from them. And when you're, especially if you're a level 1 mage, you don't have very many magic points to spare. So especially if you get, say, 4 or 5 jackals in one go, you're going to run out of magic points well before you kill that many jackals. So yeah, the best way is just not to be seen by them. But if you do, try to at least get in a hallway so only one can fight you at a time. But yeah, early jackals on your mages, sometimes there's just nothing you can do about it. They're just going to kill you. Such is life. Ha! He stepped around the corner and hit me. That was a random energy. I'm just going to walk up to this guy. Okay. I was about to say, I'm just saving my stones. That is a lot of enemies at once. Okay, we're not saving our stones against all this stuff. Our fighting went to level 1. Down to 16 stones. Alright, so we got a scroll and a potion. We've sort of done a lot of the floor. Oh, here's a whip. In some ways, a whip is better for us because our aptitude for maces and flails is 0 versus -1. But I'll show you something. Look in the top right where it says time here in brackets. Swinging a dagger, it's the one weapon without any training that will still swing at 1. Whereas if I switch to the whip, which is actually dangerous, could have been cursed, it's 1.1, so it's a bit slower. So if they're both going to be 0 skilled and they're not, neither of them is branded, I think I'd rather keep the dagger. I'm just going to fight him. He doesn't have a weapon. So we've got 3 scrolls of that thing. I'm immediately going to step next to the dart slug because I don't want him to shoot us anymore. If you get adjacent to most ranged enemies, they'll switch to their melee attacks. It looks like we've done a lot of the floor except for this null. I think I'm just going to leave him. We can come back later. Let's go down a stair that's not close to him though. Okay. Well, I'm going to try to stair dance this stuff up so I can fight it one at a time without having to use my stones. Hey, we just reached level 3. Okay, that's pretty nice. Now we can get stone arrow. I've completely mentally blanked. Ah, the stats. Yes. We get to pick a stat here at level 3. What do we want to pick? So the general rule of thumb is that if you're casting spells, you want intelligence. I tend to like strength on my spellcasters more than most people because I like to be in relatively heavy armor. So for fire dragon scales, for instance, it has an encumbrance of 11. So you'd want to have at least 11 strength to wear it. But a gargoyle is a relatively high strength species, so we've already started off with 11 strength. And as a gargoyle, every 3rd level, we're going to get a random int or a strength anyway. So we're probably going to get more strength than 11. So I'm going to be happy just picking int every time. Cool. Maybe you get a random skill every 4th level. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't have beam either, so I can't check. That was probably a really bad stair pull. I might have just killed us. If I come up here, will I be surrounded? 1, 2, 3, 4 tiles around us. These are 4 enemies. Yes. So if I come back up the stairs, I'm going to be completely surrounded and stuck in between them. So going up doesn't help. I'm better off just coming down, and then we're going to have to fight the stuff. Alright. Goodbye all our stones. Here's an uncursed amulet of the gourmand. We may as well put this on. This lets us eat chunks of flesh, even if we're not hungry. So it's not a great amulet, but you'll wear it in lieu of any others. And it means that basically every time we kill something, we can just eat. So we're gonna walk around without any hunger issues, at least here in the early game. You see it's not very filling. It takes a while to sort of charge up. The devs don't want to encourage you to just put that on every time you're gonna eat. And then the thing that we're going to do standing on the stair here is read from our stack of 3 scrolls. Very likely to be identify. It is. We're going to go our potions. I'm really tempted to just do the ring mail, but there's not really a hurry. I'd rather just do the potions. So we got cancellation, mutation, and haste. Haste being the only real panic potion we just found there. We're going to learn stone arrow. And I'm going to make a new macro for this. Tilde key M, ZXF. So it's going to fire my stone arrows. Things to note about stone arrow. Well, one, it's harder for us to cast. You can see here it's a 24% chance to fail. So I think we probably should train some conjurations. I'm going to set a skill target for about 3 or 4. It's very likely we're going to learn more conjurations in the future. So it's not like we're only training it for stone arrow. But other things to note, it costs 3 magic points. We've only got 6 in total. So it's a fairly hefty thing to cast a stone arrow in terms of our fight capability resources. So I mean, you think about it, is 1 stone arrow better than 3 stone blasts? Sand blasts rather. The answer is maybe. Here's how it works. Sand blast is a kind of a funny spell. It checks the AC of your enemy, I think 3 or 4 times. So it's pretty bad against high AC enemies, but really good against no AC enemies. So if you're shooting against something like an adder or a gecko, it's great. If you're trying to kill an orc warrior in a plate armor, sand blast is going to do nothing. So I think of it more like the stone arrow is a way to fight high AC enemies to punch through their armor. Sandblast is nice because it's really cost effective in terms of your magic points. But if you're struggling for stones like we are with only 8, maybe you just want to stone arrow things when and if you can. I like testing my hatches up, but that's probably not too wise when there's still a null up there. You know what? Well, we'll train a bit of conjuration so our stone arrow failure comes down, and then I think we can go fight that null. It's much less dangerous now that we're experience level 3 than it was at experience level 1. And it will represent a nice bit of experience for us. Okay, if I don't have to, like with this rat, I'm just going to hit it with the dagger. This might be an Okawari vault. No, just a bunch of trees. Okay, that's interesting. Alright, this gecko is killing us. Okay, that was actually really ballsy and probably dumb to shoot the second stone arrow. Because if that had happened, we would have been completely out of magic points. Geckos are faster than you, so you can't run, and I would have been hitting it with a 0 skill dagger. So actually, I regret that decision. That was poor play. I didn't get punished, but I probably should have been. Just a bunch of trees on this level. Here's a glowing flail. So this could be cursed to minus, but as with the hunting sling earlier, we don't really care. It's not a huge deal if we lose our weapon, and because it could have huge upsides, maybe this is a flail of venom or something like that. I'm just going to wield it. It's a flail of protection, alright. So we're going to play to our huge gargoyle strength. Every time we hit something with this, we're going to get an extra 7 AC. So we're going to go up to 12 AC. This is going to be great. I'm just going to walk around punching stuff. And by punching, I mean hitting. Alright, 12 AC in the early game. Feels pretty good. I think we can just fight. No, we can't. Okay, how is Stone Arrow? Okay, I was checking the failure type because if this were yellow, we'd have chances of getting bad miscasts, and that can kill you, especially if you're only at 12 HP. Hey, we got it in 2. That was pretty good. Our first adder, as a gargoyle, that's much less scary. We're immune to poison, and with all the AC we're going to have, especially with our weapon, it's going to do barely anything to us. We've also managed to sneak up on it, so if an enemy is asleep or paralyzed, you'll never miss with projectiles, so my stone arrow is going to hit, even though it's a high AC enemy. That's a cause altar. Oh, we can't get to it anyway. It's across the lava. I don't think I'd recommend a Gargoyle Earth Elementalist of course. I mean, it'd probably be fun, but I don't think it would be a great way to win the game. I'm hoping I don't have to use Stone Blast here. Looks like I might. Nope, we just killed it. Okay. We got int of our random level up. It looks like maybe it's every 4th turn that happens. Okay, we get to eat all the way back to Engorged. It's pretty good. So at level 4, we get to learn Petrify. We don't have the spell levels for that yet, but I think what we actually want to do is save up until we get LRD. So Petrify is sort of a bit of a niche spell, which we can definitely find uses for, but it's not as insanely good as LRD is. LRD is smite targeted, it's AoE, can't be resisted, so it's just a great spell, which I kind of want to get going. Not as soon as possible, so I'm not just going to train only Earth and spellcasting, but we want to have it up sooner rather than later. Certainly sooner than we want to have Petrify up. How are we going? 17% on Stone Arrow. Yeah, I'll clear this floor and then we'll go fight the Null. I can just fight the bush. I'm doing literally no damage. Alright, we won't fight the bush. We'll just walk around. Okay, conjurations go to 1. This looks like something's up here. So we're seeing 1 tile of water. I don't think there'd just be 1 random tile of water, and it's conspicuously hidden down here. So I'm gonna fight my way through this plant. See, maybe there's a hidden Fetus altar, or maybe there's some loot in there, or something like that. Just a piece of food. Well, hashtag worth it. I'm gonna take the hatch up. If we land right next to the Null, I'm not afraid. Shift X Control E removes our exclusions. I'm gonna go fight him. Okay. Well, there's our 2 stone arrows. The second one missed. A sandblast, and then it's kind of dangerous for me to just be hitting him. But we've got 12 AC, and he doesn't have a weapon, so I'm doing it. Nice. He didn't kill us. We killed him. our Earth Magic went up to level 5. And then let's keep going. We don't have any Tweezer scrolls. Once we do, I'll test them. It would be nice to get Remove Curse, because then we could try this Shiny Ring Mail. Alright, let's immediately go back up and not come back to this step. So we saw a bunch of Orcs. If that is an Orc pack, there might be an Orc Priest, and Orc Priests are, I'd say, the most dangerous. Well, they're probably one of the most dangerous early game monsters, generally speaking. But I'd say they're the most dangerous early enemy for gargoyles, because they ignore your AC and you're relatively low HP. Alright, let's back up. The goblin shouted. Didn't see us. I think we've never found any stones. We have 17, so maybe I did find some and didn't notice. Also, are there sling bullets anywhere? No. Okay. I'm going to go into my auto pickup, which is /. I'm going to turn sling bullets on. Because we have that sling, so if we have the ability to shoot things for free from range, we may as well use it. A random effects wand I think we should pick up. Could definitely help us out in a tough situation. You could roll the dice on it. It's pretty good. Well, I don't know about pretty good, but you can also use it from the safety of a stair, because if you roll a bad effect, say you haste the enemy or you berserk it, you just immediately go back upstairs. We found a ring here, which we're not going to use unless we have Remove Curse. This rune short sword I'm going to pick up, but I'm also not going to try this until we get Remove Curse, because now we do have something to lose. If we got the cursed minus weapon, we'd lose our flail of protection. Hey, 27 stones, nice. Alright, so we just went up to 44 stones. So looks like we can start spamming Sandblast again if necessary. This amulet I'm not going to test until we get Remove Curse. A Wand of Acid, fantastic. Alright, so we're looking pretty good. 13 charges on a Wand of Acid on D3 is great. There's basically nothing in the early game you can't kill with an Acid Wand. And this flail just owns. We can spam Sandblast, but why? You just hit things. Oh, hang on, I see Orcs again. Alright, we are going to use our Sandblast here to take down this adder. We go to level 5. This guy is just throwing stones. He's got a plain whip. I'm going to get around the corner and Sandblast. One of these Orcs is now agile. Okay. Haven't seen a priest, which is good, but need to know that there might be one lurking around. How is our stone arrow looking? 14% chance to fail. I'm going to focus conjurations as well. Let's just get that failure down. In a situation where we need high damage, I'll acid something. Okay, never mind. Still. Oh, this guy has a +2 flail of venom. It looks like everything is coming up Gargoyle Earth Elementalist. Let's grab that. That's amazing. That's even better generally than the flail of protection is. Venom's really strong in the early game because barely anything resists it. No, that's not true. A bunch of things resist it, but for everything else there's Venom. But the main thing is because you can hit something a couple of times, then just kite it while it dies through the damage over time. We're now on D4. We hear the rushing of water. I see that this looks like a metal walled floor, which is not good for us because we have Pass Wall. Pass Wall only lets you go through rock. But we haven't seen any early game altars except for that Quaz one. So now we might just find the temple before finding any random altars. On D4, I like to start reading my scrolls. If we get magic mapping, it might tell us the temple's here. But it also, because we know there's a sewer on this floor, we might find the sewer entrance. So let's just start reading. That's fear. That's noise. That's partly why we're standing on the stair. Alright, so we got an enchant armor. I can gamble and say this isn't a cursed minus ring mail. In which case we're going to want to end up in it, in which case I can enchant it. Or I could just give us one extra AC for the moment and have a +1 robe. I think I'm going to gamble. If I really want extra AC right now with our robe, we can always switch to the flail of protection. I'm going to go equal I here and change my flail of venom to B so I can get it up with apostrophe. That's better. We keep reading. That's still blinking. So we are technically wasting these. We didn't get magic mapping, and because that's teleport, I want to go back up. It's sort of a choice that I make when I play. Oh god, okay, well there's our first Orc Priest, so we're gonna immediately go back up here. But my choice is, I'm willing to waste my scrolls on D4. Let's X this stair out so we don't go back down. But it means that I know what they are. So all the stairs are all here. Okay, let's go back up. Let's X that one too. So that first stair is the only one that we can kind of go to without being near the Orc Priest. There's also the wizard there. It turns out we do have a curing potion. How do we know that? I don't remember identifying that. Maybe there was a monster who drank one. But if you got the 1-2 combo of being confused and then being smoked to death, you never want to repeat it. Anyway, as I was saying before that happened, I do waste my scrolls, but then the next one I find will be immediately usable. So now I'm going to find a blink scroll next, and in a dangerous situation I'll have it to use. Whereas someone else might not randomly read their scrolls, so they have a blink scroll, then maybe they find a second one, they end up next to an ogre, and it would be great to blink, but they don't know they have it. It's saying there's a very distant drain, so it means we're far away from it, unfortunately. Let's back around the corner here. We do have the acid wand, so I don't know. If need be, we'll just shoot the Orc Priest with acid, but it's not a good idea to do anything with the Orc Priest. It can do up to 17 damage with a smite, so it can two-shot us right now. And I'm just going to keep going left because that's far away. Oh, I know that the drain is nearby. It's right there, and there's that D4 ogre that we were just talking about. Well, I really want to get to the drain, so I'm just going to acid him. There's Natasha. This is a scary combination. Natasha can slow you. If you got slowed near an early D4 ogre, that could very easily be the end of you. But fortunately we have the acid wand. Oh, that hurt. Oh, that hurt. I'm trying to hit her with venom, but this is actually probably not a good idea. Let's acid wand her. Alright, she goes down. We reach level 6. Let's go int. We have 65 stones. I should stop messing around and just sandblast the thing. I'm going to pick up this leather armor. Let's just get inside. Okay, good. This might be a pergy one. But so, we're currently in a robe. I tend to like to go up to the leather armor. It usually trade 1 evasion for an AC, but with a gargoyle it's even better. So this could still be cursed, it's not. So do we went down 1 evasion and up 1 AC. Okay, that's what I expected. It will make our spells slightly harder to cast, but they weren't that difficult to begin with, so that's fine. I know that we made it to 5 spell levels, so let's learn LRD. I'm going to use equals S to change the letter of the spell. I'm going to make it probably Z. This one I'm not going to make a macro for because LRD is kind of finicky to aim. So it's quite dangerous for us to use at the moment at 47% chance to fail. But I don't know. Maybe we'll quaff brilliance in the heat of battle and be able to use it. The way that it works... Actually, I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to go from Z. I'm going to put it on W. No, I'm not. I'm going to leave it on Z because we're probably going to be spamming it a lot in a little bit. Am I? I'll leave it on Z. So the way that it works is it's saying it's really dangerous. I don't actually want to use it. I wonder if you have to... I just want to show you the targeting for it. I wonder if you have to successfully use it before you target it. I get the feeling you might. Because our magic points are disappearing and it's actually confirming. Okay, so I'm not going to do it just in case. But the way that it works is you target a wall. And it does AoE damage around the piece of wall that you were targeting. It used to also explode walls, but no longer does that. And also the type of wall that you're targeting changes the amount of damage that it will do. So metal walls, for instance, do a lot more damage. Crystal walls do the most. I'm just going to stone blast this stuff. Now that we've got some stones to spare. Oh, that's a crocodile. Alright, so this is a really scary sewer. Alright, who died to the crocodile? Own up for that one too. These are scary in lair, so they're fast through water and they bite for up to 20 damage. Well, we've only got 36 HP. But this is where the acid will come in handy again. So I'm going to get his attention by shooting it with the sling. And then I can't hit it from there. So I guess I'm going to back up. And we're going to try to acid it to death. Alright, good. And there might be another crocodile. I feel like the one with crocodiles has 2 crocodiles. Maybe I'm wrong. Ah, see, there you go. We got the second scroll blinking, exactly like I was saying. So now I have a scroll of blinking available to me, where someone who would rather save their scrolls will now have 2 scrolls of blinking but not know it. Let's put on those gloves that we just picked up. This other random scroll that we just found, it could be magic mapping. I don't mind reading it out of here actually, because we already read noise and teleport, which are the main scary ones that you want to be on upstairs for. Oh, it's Natasha again. We can probably just take her down with Sandblast. As a cat, she doesn't have AC, so she's going to take the max Sandblast damage. Let's read this scroll. It's enchant weapon. Let's put it on our flail of venom. And then question is, how afraid are we of the Orc Priest? We're still very afraid, but we've moved out of 2-shot range. So by going up to 36 HP, we're now in 3-shot range. I feel like with 3 shots to kill an Orc Priest, when we have a wand of acid, we're probably fine. Gonna read this scroll too. There's remove curse. Alright, so the next one we find, we'll start putting on our jewelry and our armor, etc. Random weapons. Ugh. Okay, it's the howler monkey that I'm really saying about. It's gonna make noise. For that reason, it was probably a bad idea to use a stone arrow there, because if there are a lot of enemies coming, and I'm using the one that uses all our magic points, that's a mistake. Reach level 7, we're up to 41 HP. I'm much less afraid of Orc Priest right now. Alright, we poison him, I'm just going to kite him till he ticks out. There's our temple, alright. Okay, our temple. Let's run around. Alright, so we hit Control O. Let's just see all the altars we found. Apparently all of the regular ones except Hep. Alright, now I've said for these Game of the Month games, I'm going to try to win. So I'm not going to necessarily pick the meme god, etc. So we're not picking Quaz. What would that mean? Well, I consider the strongest game in a 3-rune game to be Ured, but we sort of have an issue with this current character. Ured does not accept worship from those such as you. So Ured is fine with living things and unliving things, but he doesn't like things stuck in the middle. So for instance, he hates statue form. If you ever use statue form with Ured, you'll be immediately excommunicated. And since you're a gargoyle, you're basically permanently a statue. He won't let you worship him. So it's kind of like asking me, what do I think the second best god in the game is? Bio. But we can't play Bio either. What should we do? So probably what you would all like to see from me is I pick Vehement and we be the Blaster Caster guy. But I think generally speaking, Vehement isn't actually a very strong god. What's my necromancy aptitude? -2. Okay, so I don't like the idea of going Kiku. -2 necromancy isn't great, but I don't love Kiku either. And he relies on necromancy to do his stuff. This might honestly be an Okawari game. Okawari is really great for hybrids because he lets you dabble in weapons, etc., while also being able to cast spells. I mean, if you're going for the 3-rune Firestorm game, so if you are using the bad guide that I mentioned in the beginning, you definitely want Vehement for his destructive magic assistance, but I don't recommend you play like that. So, I think I might like Okawari here. Also, kind of as a meme option, could be Fedas. I don't know. Like, I unironically still think Fedas is a really good god. He got nerfed, or she got nerfed somewhat quite recently. So you used to get the mushrooms at 1 people piety, now it takes 2. And also with fruit gone, it's kind of annoying because your rations are what you use for Oklobs, and it feels really, really painful and horrible every time you have to eat a ration. But we already found an amulet of the Gorman, so I actually find Fedas with a Gorman amulet to be pretty comfy. But yeah, I'm trying to teach you how to play in these games, and I think the number of you who will have picked Fedas on your Gargoyle Earth Elementalist is probably 0, but I would unironically pick this. What do? I do think I just want to go Okawari over Vehement and be more of a hybridy style character than just being all in Glass Cannon Blaster Caster, because Gargoyles are pretty good at being tanky and hitting stuff. We've got a +1 armor aptitude, we've got a +1 shield aptitude, and a +1 fighting aptitude. So you don't need to just go spells. And Okawari will let us hybridize pretty well. So the downside of this is that we'll need to train some invocations, but you don't need too much with Okawari. And we're a +1 invocation species, so to get that to 6 or so will be fine. Oh, I really want to pick Fedas though. Actually, I seriously would pick Fedas. Should I just do that and blow everyone's minds? No, because it's gonna be nothing like your games, and then you're just gonna be like, what are you even doing? Alright, we'll beat Oka. Okay, cool. I think I'm not gonna train invocations just yet. Let's get our LRD up, and our stone arrow failure rates down before we start messing around with Okawaru too much. Alright, so we know that that Orc Priest is still out there somewhere. Also there's Natasha. Every time I see that I think of there's this radio host on hang on, let's grab that stuff. There's a radio host on the ABC here, which is our Australian government channel, called Natasha Mitchell. And every time I see Natasha, I just think of Natasha Mitchell. I don't know, that probably meant nothing to the vast majority of you, but I don't know, maybe someone will know Natasha Mitchell. Alright, here's our priest. Let's get around the corner so that we're going to make the priest come to us. And it still is really dangerous, even though it can't two-shot us. So I'm going to acid wand it. Ah, look at that. It's very crafty. So clever monsters like this priest will try to keep their range when they're ranged enemies. So rather than walking to here and appearing here, he's actually going up like this. Clever. Still in range of the acid one though, so bad luck. We had to kill it in one go. That's our D4 done. We've got no more scrolls. Alright, well I think I'm going to call this here for episode 1. So if you join me in the next one, we're going to try to get Okawaru going. We're going to try to get LRD up. And we're just going to keep exploring the dungeon. Keep it comfy. See you all then.